Valentine's Day. Thank you very much. It's Valentine's Day, but what else is it today? We're starting what today? It's the first Sunday of Lent, right? And those are the 40 days before we celebrate the big celebration of Easter. Very nice. So, today, our gospel story talks about temptation. So we're going to talk a little bit about temptation. Are you ever tempted? You ever tempted to do something that's not quite right? Yeah, sometimes, right? Okay. So I'm going to show you some pictures. First one I have is of a little boy. See him? Now, his mother said to him, "I don't want you eating that little dessert until after you eat your meal." But it's out there, and he's sitting there, and he sees it. He's tempted to eat it. What do you think he should do?
Eat it.
Who knows?
Not eat it.
Not eat it? What should he do instead? What?
Eat his dinner.
Eat his dinner first. And if he's tempted to eat it, what do you think he should do?
Eat it.
Eat it? But Mom said not to. This one said put it on the counter so you can't see it, right? That's a very good idea. Very good idea. Put it somewhere where you can't see it. Eat your dinner first, and then you can have it. Because if you ate this before dinner, what would Mommy say?
Where's your dessert?
Where's your dessert? And also might say, you better eat your dinner. Right? Yeah. Okay. That's our first temptation. Now, sometimes we're tempted to have a little hissy fit. Sometimes we get really mad, maybe at our brother and sister, maybe at our mother, maybe at our dad, maybe at a friend, and we want to pout. Now, anybody ever here want to pout? Do you ever pout? Oh, Eli pouts. Okay, you pout. All right, you pout. All right. Most of us pout sometimes, right? Yeah, we pout, right? So sometimes things don't go our way, and we're tempted to pout and get angry. What could we do instead of pouting and getting angry? What might help us not to pout and get angry? What? What would help us to be more happy? What do you think we could do if we're feeling really angry and we want to pout? What should we do? What?
Eat something.
Eat something. Well, you could be hangry, I guess. You could be hangry. Yeah, it could be because you're hangry. But what if you're just mad at somebody? What could you do instead of pout?
Tell somebody?
What? Well, you could talk to somebody, right? And say, I feel angry because, right? So you can talk about it instead of just being pouty and angry. What else? You could walk away and go by yourself for a few minutes, right? You might even want to say a prayer and say, "Dear God, help me to calm down," right? So there are things we could do instead of pouting and having a little hissy fit, right? It's kind of like, it's like a temper tantrum. You know temper tantrum. Now, can anybody figure out what's going on in this picture? What are they being tempted about? Cheating. They're being tempted to cheat, to talk about what's on the test and to tell each other answers. Yeah, right. What is it? What is it? Now, if we're tempted to cheat, to look at somebody else's paper or to take something we shouldn't, what should we do?
Look away.
Look away.
We shouldn't do it.
What? We shouldn't do it, right? It's not good to do. What else? Change your seat. Say that I'm being distracted, so I got to change where I am. Okay, what do you think? What should we do? What? Okay, kind of distract yourself some way from being cheated. Very good. That's if somebody's trying to cheat on you, or you're tempted to look over.
Yeah.
If you put something there you can't see. Got it. Yes? Right, if you're in a race. Sometimes you're running a race and you want to win. To trip somebody would be a bad thing, wouldn't it? It would be to cheat. Yeah, it would be a bad thing because you might bleed. So what should you do instead of that?
You should tell the person the wrong answer.
Oh, tell the person the wrong answer if they're trying to cheat off of you. I guess that's one way to make it so they won't look at your paper again, huh? Or bother you. But if you're trying to cheat, then we need to somehow go somewhere else, maybe even say a prayer. We could say a prayer and say, God, help me not to cheat. That was a great example. All right, so now, one more. Oh, this little boy is very sad. What did he do?
He threw a baseball at a vase.
He threw a baseball and it hit a vase. And what happened to the vase?
It broke.
It broke. Now, he might be tempted not to tell the truth. He might be tempted to say, I didn't do that. My little sister did it. Or my dog did it. Right. Yeah, we could blame it on, we might be tempted to blame it on somebody else. Or his brother, right. Especially if they're younger, right? That's a good one to blame. But we could blame it on somebody else. That's not right, though. And we could try to hide it, couldn't we? We could try to hide it and not tell anybody. But what is, or maybe somewhere where nobody would see it, like in the closet.
In a dump.
What were you going to say?
But then my mom and dad would say, where's the vase?
Exactly, because it's never good to lie, is it? No. So we have to tell the truth. If we're tempted not to tell the truth and we're tempted to lie, we have to do something about that. We have to think carefully and know that always the truth is the best thing. Got it? Not to be tempted to lie. All right. Now what I'd like to do is I'd like to talk about the story that we just heard as the gospel, because I would bet that most of you didn't really listen to the story that I told when I did the gospel, right? You didn't really listen, did you? That didn't make any sense, I know. So I'm going to try to have it make sense, okay? So, I'm going to tell the story. Oh, wait a minute. One day, Jesus went into the wilderness. The wilderness is a very empty and lonely place. There's no people in it, and there's no food in it. Jesus was there for 40 days and 40 nights.
I know that.
And at the end of those 40 days, toward the end, he got very, very hungry. So, what happened was, the devil came to see him and said, "See this rock?" It is a rock. "See this rock, Jesus? Why don't you, because you're so hungry, take this rock and make it into a piece of bread?" Oops.
Okay, I do that.
That's what the devil told Jesus. He's tempting him. And Jesus said to him, "Nope, I'm not going to be tempted to do a miracle just because you want me to. Because I am going to rely on God and not on anybody else." So then, after a while, the devil takes him to another place where he can see all the lands. And he can see all the kingdoms and all the land all over. And he takes Jesus there and he says to him, "I will give you all of this land and all of those kingdoms because I have the power to do that. But you have to worship me." And Jesus said, "No way. I'm not worshiping you. I'm going to worship God, and I'm going to trust God. He's with me." So the devil then said, Come with me, and I'm going to take you to this very, very high place. Right here, way, way up. And he says, why don't you throw yourself down from here? God will send his angels to come and get you. And Jesus said, nope, I'm not going to put God to the test. I will trust God, and God is with me, but I will not do that. So every time the devil tried to tempt Jesus, Jesus said no, and he put his trust in God. And after the 40 days, Jesus came out of the desert, out of the wilderness, and began to preach about the love of God. The end. So, that's a story about Jesus being tempted. And what did Jesus say when he was trying to be tempted?
Nope.
Nope, because why?
Because he didn't want to test God and he didn't want to.
He trusted God, right? He trusted God. And he would, so when we get tempted, we need to trust God. We need to go to God and say a prayer and say, help me not to be tempted. Stay with me, God, and help me. Because we're all going to be tempted. That's part of being a human being. We get tempted. But we know that God is with us. God will strengthen us and help us. So this Lent, the next time you're tempted, you're going to think about it. Right? You're going to think about it, do the right thing, and maybe even say a prayer. Amen. Okay, go back. Amen.